Syndrome is a villain because he conflated admiration with entitlement. In today's video, what I want to be talking about is how I feel that Syndrome is representative of this growing wave of parasocial relationships online. So when I watch these videos, it always starts off with got this idea in my head. So I posted a couple, my wife has posted a couple of TikToks recently and they've gotten some decent views. Million, it's basically a couple million views in the last week collectively. And they're just kind of poking fun at some streamers, we know, and how I'm a fan of it. And what was alarming to me was the amount of people who really got involved with our relationship, who were effectively trauma dunking in the comments. And I'm not going to put them out. I'm not going to put them on blast, basically saying, if your husband does this, he's probably going to cheat on you. Anyways, that's where this idea in my head came about wanting to talk about parasocial relationships and why Syndrome. I made a video a little bit talking about Syndrome yesterday, so I kind of wanted to play off of that. So I feel like the most disturbing aspect of Syndrome's arc, within the movie is his righteousness, right? It's not that he does not see himself as a villain. Okay, and lots of villains are that way. A lot of villains see themselves as saviors. They have savior complexes, right? But he does see himself ultimately as somebody who's correcting an injustice. Okay, and this mirrors modern parasocial behaviors kind of precisely, right? Online resentment is rarely framed as jealousy, or as insecurity is framed as accountability, as calling out, or as truth telling, right? And this is what I noticed, right? The wave of parasocial relationships, it doesn't come from a place of obsession to me. It ends up becoming obsession because that's the logical next step. But it almost comes from a place of goodness, where these kind of friendships that people form in their head with creators, they're all one way, obviously, it's one-way traffic, but it all comes from a good place. Is that they want to be seen as calling out what's wrong, or wanting to advise what's right, or put people down the right path. And I think that's what's kind of scary about parasocial relationships. A lot of them come from a good place, right? But what's underneath it all, right? Is it just that people have an unbelievable sense of justice and they want to just help everybody they see online, and if they find somebody online they want to just be good and be proper and they want to help that person? I don't know. I think there's something more than that, right? In Syndrome's case, it ended up bubbling into something violent, something extreme. But is his reasoning behind him getting there recognizable? Absolutely, right? Because effectively he's saying, well, he was denied this prize for being in admiration for Mr. Incredible. And then all that means is being in admiration for someone, it's a lie, it's false, relationship's false, this sense of reality collapses in, and then you get this bitterness, right? And then it projects in dangerous ways. And we see this all the time with, fans who get rejected from a celebrity in whatever way, who then go on to do something, harassing the celebrity, right? Now, parasocial relationships have existed for a very long time, with people who become obsessed with celebrities, from the Beatles in the 60s or Michael Jackson. I mean, Eminem has a song about it, Stan, right? Who, they develop these relationships. But when you watch particularly content creators, I think the nature of the way that content creators work with being, very authentic people, they share almost everything with themselves online. It makes people feel closer than they actually are to these people, right? But I think it is a genuinely unhealthy and scary thing. The amount of friends people have, there is a friendship recession. I'm going to pop an article about it here. It's really interesting. It's from Harvard. There's a friendship recession, right? And maybe it's consequential of COVID and being inside for a while, and then that almost forced people to, human beings want to be part of a community. It's just the way we are, we're pack animals. That drove people in the direction of content creators and streamers. And then because we crave relationships, that drove people into this, I feel, a growing wave of parasocial relationships. Anyways, right? I think it's almost undeniable that whatever corner of the internet you're on, you would see that fandom culture is growing to a large extent. But do we need to stop this? I think so, because as I was saying, this, at least the parasocial side of it, not just pure fandom, I think it's really, really dangerous, because effectively it's a collection of people who think they're doing something good by wanting to be involved in this relationship with this person who does not know they exist. That's scary and it needs to be stopped. And realistically, how can people stop it? Because a creator can put down clear boundaries. They can try to express emotional literacy in their videos. They can try and like re-anchor their identity as they're making content and be like, you know, this, I'm an act, this is not real, you know, I'm an exaggerated version of myself, you don't know me. But that's not really gonna fix the fundamental like kind of hole what people have when they create relationships, because a lot of these people who have this issue like Syndrome, they need acceptance from this person they admire. Syndrome needed acceptance from Mr. Incredible, and then you got to ask yourself, was he inevitably going to end up a villain? And that's where it gets interesting, right? Because if he was just accepted by Mr. Incredible, would he have just been a hero and therefore a net positive in the world, even though his motivations would have been bad, let's say, because, you know, his motivation wasn't to help people, his motivation was to be admired and be accepted by Mr. Incredible. So from a Parasocial side, is it like the job of creators to basically be friends with every single fan they have? Every single fan they meet, they have to spend time to be friends with, and if not, they're going to have this moral guilt or have this moral debt if that fan then goes on to feel rejected and do something bad. Is it the person's fault? Is it the celebrity's fault? It's just a ridiculous way to conduct, you know, like life for those people. So I don't know. I feel like the kind of conclusion and the overriding point I wanted to make is that Syndrome is not just a Pixar villain, right? To me, he's a warning. He's a character who shows us what happens when admiration becomes identity and when validation replaces purpose and when rejection feels like annihilation. But that second point, when validation replaces purpose, that's the issue, that's the cause of parasocial relationships, because they want to feel like they're helping this person, but then they want to get involved in their lives, but they need to be validated eventually, or you get this. Because all will happen if they don't get that validation factor, it's just like they get this build up of like commitment, you know, in their head. They're just building up intimacy. And in an age defined by screens and followers, and like I'm saying, one-sided intimacy, Syndrome's story is more relevant than ever, because the true danger of parasocial relationships, like I said, it's not obsession, it's entitlement. And entitlement, when frustrated, will not fade. It could bubble up into something a lot more ugly. So, in conclusion, attention does not mean that getting attention from a creator does not mean you belong in their friendship group. Admiration for somebody, it doesn't mean you're in a relationship with them. And nobody owes you anything. That sounds kind of dark, but there's some thoughts I had on all of this. If anybody stuck around to the end, I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe, because I don't know, I'm trying to just do something every single day where I just talk about things I care about. Or what's that in my head. I don't think I necessarily love parasocial relationships, but yeah, bye.